This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is March 20th, 2025. Jonathan Osborne, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin Tucker, how are you feeling, man? Obviously, everybody knows you had the surgery way back in, what was that, September? Give us a little update. Give us something more exciting to talk about outside of Magic basketball.
I can promise you it's not exciting. Update, I'm pretty good for the most part. Not perfect, but pretty good. Feeling good. Doing a lot of things normally, but not to high intensity levels. But yeah, I'm back to a somewhat normal lifestyle, so that's good. A more important and more exciting thing, Jonathan, I saved now the show to tell you this, so I wanted to see your reaction. Maybe you already know this. Did you know that tomorrow, Friday, March 21st, Wicked comes to Peacock? So you and your family can watch Wicked at home on Peacock, unless you're going to tell me that you're not going to get Peacock just to watch it.
One, I already have Peacock, and two, I bought Wicked when it came out on the Apple library 2 months ago because the kid needs to watch it.
So you've already been watching it a million times.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
It gets played weekly in our household. Every single time we get in the car, Avery wants to play either What Is This Feeling or Defying Gravity or Popular, one of those.
Great.
So I'm temporarily wickeded out. Because it's every single time we get in the car, Avery wants to play Wicked.
Yeah.
And it's they're fantastic songs and I love them, but I need a little bit of a break.
Well, I, for one, am excited because Friday, I'm off from work. My family's out of town. So I'm literally going to plop in front of my TV, watch the finale of Severance, and watch Wicked. And it's going to be great. It's just going to be a great time. I can't wait.
Carmen and we wait until about 9 o'clock Thursday evening, and we watch Severance then, if there's not something going on. For those of you that don't know, technically the release date is Friday, but they do release it a few hours early Thursday night. So if you want to catch the early premiere of that, you can. I'm looking forward to watching Cold Harbor. I'm excited to see how they wrap it up, because you and I are both kind of eye to eye that this season has not been as exciting or as good as the first season so far.
No, but they can redeem a lot with this.
They can.
This, I think they said 74-minute,
15-minute,
episode. Like they can look. Give me something spicy in this, and that'll redeem the last few episodes, I'd say.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to our Court of Dreams experience that is coming up on March 30th and March 31st. So if you don't know, March 30th at noon, we're getting some Magic fans to play some pickup basketball on the Kia Center floor. And then the next evening, when the Magic take on the Clippers, it'll be kind of like part 2 of a night group experience where we all sit together and cheer on the Magic when they take on the Los Angeles Clippers. Tickets right now are going for as low as $109. We're taking the first 60 fans that sign up to that. As we're recording this, there's 17 or 18 tickets left. You've got roughly a week, I think, to purchase that. Yeah, the deadline is March 28th at 7 o'clock Eastern to purchase those. So if you want to be a part of our Court of Dreams experience, head on over to fivo-enterprise.com/event/sixthman2. We are putting the link in the podcast description and the YouTube description. And you can also find links on our Instagram bio. We posted it all over our Facebook and Twitter, X page, all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you get those. Going to be a great time. Really looking forward to that, Kevin. And then we've got a watch party coming up this Friday. That is going to be over at the Station Bar and Grub over in Sanford, located at 109 South Palmetto Avenue. Magic Wizards. That game tips off at 7 o'clock. So that watch party will get going around 6:30. Myself, Kevin, we won't be able to be there for this one. We've been in Orlando quite a bit recently. For those of you that don't know, we're not exactly local, but still going to be a great time. Going to be a lot of Magic fans, a lot of Michelob Ultra deals and all that kind of good stuff. So again, tomorrow, as you're listening to this, Friday, March 21st at 6:30 over at the Station Bar and Grub, 109 South Palmetto Avenue, Sanford, Florida. Come on out, cheer on your Magic, and yeah, just have a great time with other fans. Now, Kevin, let's just jump right into the state of the Magic. Folks, if you usually listen to this episode on like 1.5 speed or maybe even 2 times speed, if you don't listen closely, you might miss the entire episode because this is not going to be a long one. Nothing has really changed with this team. Dropped another one tonight as we're recording this to the Houston Rockets. And I don't know how many times we can really say the same things. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation around Jonathan Isaac and just kind of like, hey, what is going on with JI? But before we get into that, let's go through the state of the Magic. This week, so far, the Magic are 0-1 with a loss to the Houston Rockets at home. Now sitting with a record of 32-28, 12 games remaining. The Magic are 8th in the Eastern Conference. As the time of this recording, have they updated the standings? They have. The Magic are now a full 7 games back of the Detroit Pistons, who are sitting in the 6th seed, as well as the Milwaukee Bucks. In terms of I guess they have a couple of games to get caught up. The Milwaukee Bucks do, but they're tied right now in games back with the Detroit Pistons. We're a game and a half back of Atlanta with 2 games remaining against Atlanta, but the Magic have to get some wins here in the meantime. And then we're 2 games up on the Chicago Bulls and now 2.5 games up on the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference right now, Kevin. The Magic are 28th in offensive rating on the year with an offensive rating of 107.9. Second in defensive rating, so we're back. We've taken that 2 spot back from, I believe it was the Rockets, with a defensive rating of 109.5. 18th in overall net rating with a negative net rating of negative 1.6. Since the All-Star break, 23rd in offensive rating, 12th in defensive rating, 21st in net rating, Kev. Not playing our best basketball. 12 games remaining. Taking a look at the injury report, we know about Jalen Suggs, we know about Mo Wagner, but Cole Anthony was out, missed this game against the Rockets with that left big toe strain. He is currently day-to-day. Went through the shooting slot before the game and was ruled out. That is the state of the Magic right now, Kev. Not a lot to be excited about right now.
It's hard because obviously Sunday was such a big moment. Even though, like I said on Monday's episode, I didn't think the Magic played that well. You know, it's not like I honestly wasn't super excited from how the Magic played. Although they had moments in that game Sunday where it was like, hey, this is Magic basketball again. But the game as a whole didn't get me super excited. Obviously, the result did, but I didn't come away from that going, oh, look, we're back. We're officially back. Did we say it could be a win that you can build on? Yeah. But you come into this game tonight, Wednesday night, against the Rockets, and yeah, it doesn't get you super pumped. The silver lining, if we do turn our attention to talk about kind of this game and how Sunday may have transferred over to tonight, like, I don't know, man. If you're gonna come away with like silver lining or moral victories, at least we're not getting blown out anymore. Like if you remember that stretch, January, February, it just felt like we were getting blown out every night, especially if we played good teams. The hard part is, and I talked about this at length on the post-game live, but like this game felt very winnable. This game felt very winnable. I thought the Magic's defense, I know at the end of the day, Houston ended up with 116 or whatever they ended up scoring. But like, I thought our defense wasn't horrendous. Like I thought we got stops for large stretches of this game. We just couldn't score the basketball, shocking, and keep up with them. The hard part about that is tonight was a winnable game. I thought Friday at Minnesota obviously was a winnable game. You had a 8 or 9 point lead in the fourth quarter. Last Tuesday in Houston was a winnable game. And then you go back to the homestand. You lost 5 games on that homestand. 4 of them were a 1-possession game under a minute to go, and you lost all of them. So like, if you think back over the last 3-4 weeks, a ton of games that the Magic just left on the table. And so that's where I think it's frustrating. The silver lining is we're not getting blown out, but the hard part is we just cannot finish these games for one reason or another.
Yeah, there was one possession that came to mind. It was late in the game, and I believe it was Anthony Black. I think it was he lost Tari Eason on just a a middle school backdoor cut for a wide open layup. And for a guy who's supposed to be one of our best and most aggressive defenders, that just can't happen, right? And you mentioned like the defense has mostly been solid. The problem with this team is if the offense is not absolutely cooking, they need to be locked in for 48 minutes. Like if they don't have a shooting performance like they did on Sunday against Cleveland, where you're shooting 40% from behind the arc, the offense is just not good enough to not be dialed in for every single possession. Like you need to make these games as ugly and as much of a rock fight as you can. And giving up 116 points to Houston isn't going to get it done again, because we know you just go throughout the season. I can't even get excited anymore about good shooting performances because we know it's just kind of a flash in the pan, that it's not going to be consistent, that it's not going to lead to this like stretch of games where the Magic actually, look, over the last 10 games, they're shooting, 40% from behind the arc. It just doesn't feel like that's happened at any point this season. I don't know the best way to go about that. I really don't want to go through game by game to see if there is a stretch like that, but I feel pretty confident that there has not been a stretch that we're describing here.
Yeah.
And you rebound better in this game, but still 12 offensive rebounds for Houston just gave them enough second chance opportunities in this one. And then you put them on the line 32 times. Some of that was crappy officiating, not going to lie, but a lot of that was also just not being super locked in defensively and then putting yourself in bad positions, trying to recover, trying to stop the other team from scoring, and then you're putting them at the free throw line. And I mean, we can sit here and talk about the shooting. We've done that since, Paolo went out and this team started struggling shooting from behind the arc early in the season. 25% from behind the arc in this game, 20 free throws. A lot of nights that's going to be good enough. But again, when you put Houston at the line and they shoot 29 for 32, that's a 12-point difference there. You can kind of say that was the game.
Yeah.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I think, made 2 out of his first 3 or 4 threes. And I tweeted like, man, look at Kenny hitting threes. He went 0 for the rest of the game. That's completely on me. Jinxed this team. But 9 for 35 from behind the arc. Anthony Black 0 for 4. Gary Harris 0 for 1. What does that guy even do? Jonathan Isaac 0 for 1. Corey Joseph 2 for 6. Franz 2 for 5. Decent. Paolo 3 for 8. You'll take that. And then Wendell 0 for 2. It is what it is. That's why I said this is probably going to be a quick one. We're not telling you all anything that you don't already know at this point. This is just a continuation, like a rinse repeat of these games. Franz is a little bit better in the fourth, like started to heat up as the game went on, but he finishes with 20 points, 8 of 19, 6 turnovers in this one. I think it was 5 or 7 turnovers on Sunday. Just has become a turnover machine as of late and has just not been as efficient as we're accustomed to. I'm not throwing up any kind of alarms or flags or whatever, no smoke in the air. Not really worried about Franz. Guys go through, little slumps like this throughout the season, but Franz could not have picked kind of a worse time to have a slump. And that's kind of what he is right now. He's in the middle of a slump these last 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, it's been very strange. And it's clearly a mental thing at this point, right? Like, and you can see when he loses the ball, like the frustration on his face. Like, he knows this is not good enough, right? Like, this is not like a surprise to him. Like, when those plays are happening, you can see him he's just very defeated right now. And so he's trying to contribute to wins. He's trying to be aggressive. But unfortunately, just like you said, he's in a slump, especially when it comes to turning over the basketball. To be fair, Cleveland, not a bad defensive team. Houston, a very good defensive team. So there is a little bit of that in the mix here. But yeah, all in all, just careless turnovers, losing his handle, letting it get poked from behind, like the ball poked away from behind, like, it's it's tough. Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention about this game and really about the season as a whole, this was game number 70, okay, on the season, right? We were talking about games back in, take your pick, November, December, game number 10, game number 20, whatever it was, that felt like this game, but we thought, surely this is not something that can be sustained over a full 82 game season. And yet here we are. March 20th, 70 games in. our team shot 25% from three. I know we've talked about it all season long, but I genuinely did not think it was something that would be sustained for a whole year. And here we are. We're going to be the worst, probably end up being the worst three-point shooting team in a decade in the NBA. Hard to believe, but we did it. We sustained it the whole season. Even when we said it couldn't be done, we did it.
Yeah, we're 31% from the floor on 35 attempts a game. We're 25th in the league in attempts per game, and we are dead last in three-point percentage. The gap between us and Washington, they're 33.6, so that's 2.6. So we have to go to 36.2. So the gap between us and Washington is the same gap between Washington and the Golden State Warriors. Washington is 33.6. Golden State is 36.2, and they're 14th in the league.
So that's the difference from 29 to 14.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The gap between 29 to 30 is the same between 14 to 29.
Right.
It's just truly despicable.
If you still have it up, what's the gap between us and the first place? So I think it's still Cleveland, I'm assuming. Do you still have it up?
It is Cleveland. It is 7.7%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They're at 38.7 on just over 6 more attempts per game.
Whatever.
And when you go, like, I have done this at multiple points throughout the season, like, almost half the roster are shooting near career lows, if not career lows.
Right.
And almost everyone, except I think like Paolo, Franz, there's maybe one or two other guys, everyone is shooting it worse than they did last year. Yeah. Just a truly unheard of in the modern era lack of shooting on this team this year.
Yep. I don't want to talk anymore about
everything that we feared. Like we said, if everything goes wrong this season, this is kind of what we envisioned.
Yep.
Missing Paolo for a third of the season, missing Franz for almost a third of the season, missing Jalen Suggs for over half the season, and then just nobody can shoot the basketball. This is like our nightmare scenario of a season, and it's come to fruition. This game was additionally frustrating for reasons outside of the game. We're now 32-38. Houston's 45-25. They're not going to get to the 1 seed, but they're in the 2nd seed. They still have the ability to fall to like 5th or 6th in the West. I don't know that that's going to happen. They've won 8 out of their last 10, 8 in a row. Houston is having the season that we thought the Orlando Magic would have. We went into this season thinking that we were maybe not head and shoulders, but like noticeably better than Houston. I think most people would have, on our fan bias and people that are really close to this team, I think most people would have said, hey, we would beat Houston in a 7-game series and, 6 games or maybe even 5 games. And they've just totally and completely flipped the script. Ime Udoka has done a great job there, obviously. Injuries playing a big role in the Magic season, the shooting, and really the flawed roster construction has been a problem all year. But we've been swept by Houston on this season, losing to them twice in the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it's been. And that just really left a bitter taste in my mouth. And then when you add on top of that, the fact that Detroit has all but sealed no lower than the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference with Cade Cunningham's game winner over the Miami Heat this evening. I texted you, I said, hey, like your dreams that we were talking about on the last episode of the 6th seed are officially dead. They're not officially official, but they're officially, it's all but over.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Not officially over, but unofficially over. Because the Magic, both teams have 12 games left. So let's say the Magic go 9-3, which would be unbelievable. What a run that would be. Magic go 9-3. The Pistons would have to go 2-10 for the Magic to be the 6th seed. So that's the kind of numbers we're working with here. So yeah, it's not impossible, but it's impossible pretty much.
Yeah, it is. So when we take a look at, I think they still have a couple of games against the Pelicans. Okay, so they've played one of those games against the Pelicans. They have another game remaining against the Pelicans, who are now without Trey Murphy. Pelicans legitimately may lose out the rest
of the way. The Pelicans
here.
just beat the Timberwolves tonight, so there's
all right. Well, never mind. Anything can happen in the NBA.
We couldn't even do that last week, so
that's true. But Dallas, New Orleans, San Antonio. Yeah, for next up for the Detroit Pistons, it is not looking good. They do have a bit of a tough stretch to close the season, but yeah, folks, if you were worried about that 6 seed, let us save you the worry. You don't have to worry about it because it's absolutely not happening. We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken. Proudly serving the city beautiful, Jam Hot Chicken is bringing Jam's culture and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. Jam Hot Chicken is a Nashville and LA-inspired hot chicken shack, locally owned and operated over there in beautiful Winter Park, located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. Be sure to follow them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media and check out jamhotchickenfl.com to access their menu, order online, find all things Jam Hot. Also now available on Uber Eats. You're in the mood for Jam Hot Chicken. You're not in the mood to drive. Pull up your phone, download the Uber Eats app. If you're local to Winter Park, get your Jam Hot Chicken delivered right to your door. I was there last week. I'm going to be there in a little over a week as well. Got to have, whether it's the box, whether it's the sando, just the chicken tenders. They've introduced wings lately. The wings are perfect, like the perfect balance of spicy and crispy. Goes really well with their pickles, their house-made ranch. All of it is fantastic. A big shout out to our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken.
Also want to shout out Himlo Band Himro, Court Cousins, Bueno Times, Dylan Fay, and Goody93. Those are 5 of our amazing Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons. Our patrons are the people who financially support what we're doing. You can go to patreon.com/The6Man Show for more information, where you can check out the different tiers that are available for you to join the initiative that we're doing here at the 6-Man Show, which isn't just to bring all this content that we put out, which we put out a lot of content, y'all. We put out a lot, but it's not just about that. It's about garnering a sense of pride in this fan base, raising up more fans, raising up bigger fans, more passionate fans. And our patrons are the people that believe in that mission and back it all the way. And so again, big shout out to them and big shout out to all of our patrons. Again, if you'd like more information, you can go to patreon.com/The6Man Show. And now let's get back to the episode.
Now let's take a look at the Atlanta Hawks. So the Magic are a game and a half back of Atlanta. And taking a look at Atlanta, they have won 5 out of their last 7. They beat Charlotte last night, put a good old-fashioned whooping on them. They have a home back-to-back this weekend. They don't play again until Saturday. They've got Golden State, then they've got Philadelphia. Then they're at Houston, at Miami, at Milwaukee. They've got Portland, which, taking a look at the standings, Portland's been a lot better than a lot of people anticipated this year. So I wouldn't chalk that up as a win for Atlanta. But then they've got Dallas, New York, Utah, Orlando, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Orlando. You still control your own destiny going down the stretch here. If you can just stay within arm's length of Atlanta going into that last 4 games, you're going to play them twice, once in Atlanta, once at home, once at home, then in Atlanta to close the season on April 13th. But you're kind of going to control your own destiny down the stretch. And when we take a look at the Magic's schedule the rest of the way here, at Washington, that needs to be a win. At home versus the Lakers, who knows that they're going to have LeBron. You're inducting Dwight Howard into the Magic Hall of Fame. You just got to find a way to win that game. I don't care if it's against the freaking Cleveland Cavaliers, the Thunder, the Cavs, whoever. You're putting Dwight in the Hall of Fame, win the freaking game. Then you're at Charlotte, absolutely have to have that one. You're home for Dallas, absolutely have to have that one. Then you've got Sacramento, LA, you're at San Antonio, you have to have that one. You're at Washington, you have to have that one. Then you've got to win both the games against Atlanta to close the season. And then, pick up another win or two along the way that maybe you shouldn't, or is like a toss-up. When we talk about Sacramento, the Clippers, Boston, the Pacers, you've got to find a way to win 1 or 2 of those games here. So 11 left, you probably have to go 6-5. Picking up both of those wins against Atlanta, it feels like.
12 left.
12 left. Okay, so
I was like,
you got to go 6-6, 7-5. If you go 5-7, you're probably going to Atlanta for the 7-8 play-in game.
Yeah. What's going to be so interesting is if all of this,
and the way that the standings are shaking out, you may be hosting Miami in a 9-10 game if you're not able to put 6 and 6 together down the last 12 games here.
No, thank you. That would be no fun. But what I was going to say was, what's going to be wild is if all this holds, which if I were a betting man, I would say the Magic and Hawks are going to be that 7-8 game, that play-in game. If all that holds, then yeah, that game on the last day of the regular season in Atlanta could decide the host of the 7-8 game, and then you turn around and play them 48 hours later. So wouldn't it be wild if Magic go to Atlanta on that Sunday? You have to win. If you win, you host it. So you win that game, then both teams fly to Orlando and play that game on Tuesday.
If you
against
lose,
each other.
You're staying in Atlanta.
Exactly. If you lose, you just extend your hotel stay night a couple nights. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting. But obviously, a lot of basketball will be played between now and then. But yeah, odds are that's going to be the matchup. It just depends on who's going to be home and away. But you're right. You can't sleep on it. The fact that you're only 2 games up on the Bulls. I think they play tomorrow. I don't think they are playing right now. They're playing the Suns. They're currently trailing the Suns in the second quarter. So that could be 2.5 game lead. That could be a 1.5 lead by the time the night's done. We'll see. But yeah, very interesting stuff. And yeah, didn't think we'd be here in October. That's for sure.
Yeah. And Chicago owns the tiebreaker, by the way.
Correct. Yep.
So you got, 6
As
and
does
6
Miami,
feels like,
by the way. Because Miami, well, it depends. Well, actually, sorry, I take that back. It depends on the division record. We do currently have a 2-game division record lead. But if we lose these 2 games to Atlanta, that could be a tied division lead. And then I don't know what the heck happens after that.
It's a lot of nightmare fuel there.
Yeah.
Looking at this box score, again, from this Rockets game, Paolo Banchero, 31 points, 10 of 21, was really, really solid. 3 of 8 from behind the arc, 8 of 8 at the free throw line. Been shooting the ball better from deep as of late. Been shooting the ball better from the charity stripe. 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, just 2 turnovers. Talked about Franz, 20 points, 8 of 19, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 turnovers. Gogo Batadze with 19 off the bench, 8 of 10. Was mostly solid offensively, defensively, left a little bit to be desired, had some nice plays. I want to talk about Jonathan Isaac. 2 points in this one, 8 minutes, 21 seconds. Couple of days of rest. Doesn't make a lot of sense why he didn't play more minutes in this game. And Jamal Mosley, after the game, when asked by Jason Beatty in terms of are you trying to get Jonathan Isaac more minutes? Like, kind of what's going on there? I'm paraphrasing. And Jamal Mosley essentially said, right now it's kind of matchup based. The fact that he didn't go to his health, or we want to make sure that he's peaking at the right time, or we want to make sure that we have him for the playoffs. The fact that he said it was matchup based, I don't want to say it's concerning, because anybody who's watched Jonathan Isaac this year, I would say this is the weird thing. A lot of the defensive metrics, like the D LeBron and that kind of stuff, still has Jonathan Isaac as one of the most impactful defenders in the league, but it doesn't quite match the eye test of recent years with Jonathan Isaac just kind of wreaking havoc all over the floor. And we've talked about this since really training camp and preseason in terms of him putting on weight coming into this year and not really being able to move exactly the same way. I think we've reached the peak with Jonathan Isaac in terms offensively. I think there is still room. He's having a down year. I don't want to just write him off and say, oh, he's not ever going to be the same defender. I don't want to go that far, but I think I'm pretty confident in saying offensively, he's never really going to give you a ton on that end. Last year, when he shot close to 40% from behind the arc, most of those being corner threes, I think that's probably what you're going to be asking of him, best case scenario moving forward. And, maybe some putback kind of stuff, maybe the occasional lob. But if anybody thought that he was going to be this playmaking wing to a certain extent, I think I'm probably pretty confident that he's not going to get to that level. Overall, has just kind of been a disappointing year for Jonathan Isaac in terms of the minutes. Now, he has played a lot more games than a lot of guys on this roster this year, but when he's playing 8 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes or 15 minutes in these games, not really ever consistently getting to 20 plus minutes per game, he really hasn't reached some of the expectations and the hopes that we had for him going into this season.
Yeah, and the hard part for me is, if my memory serves me, which doesn't always do that these days, but when we played this Rockets team last week, I thought Jonathan Isaac did a good job on Şengün. I just checked. He only played 14 minutes, but that's still 6 minutes more than he played tonight. And I remember he had some really good stops on Şengün in that game. So that's the part that's confusing to me. Well, was he perfect? No, of course not. But did he deserve 8 minutes tonight? No. The hard part is, though, it's a lose-lose. Like, either he only played 8 minutes tonight because, like you said, it's a matchup reason. Coach preferred Wendell or Goga over him, which that's not good. If this guy that you've locked in, for the next several years can't see the floor in a game like this, that's not good. And then the other lose side of it is if it is physical, if it is health, if he's being limited because he, number one, doesn't have the stamina to play for long periods, or number two, he's got some injury. That's not good either. It's a lose-lose either way, right? The current Jonathan Isaac situation is a lose-lose if you ask me. And so that's the part that's concerning. And then, yeah, like you said, I mean, it feels like we've hit the peak, of Jonathan Isaac, which I know is kind of hard to hear, but I mean, how old is he now? Like born in 97, so
27,
27, yeah,
going into to next year.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to hear that, but on the one hand, you're right. He has played 60 or 61 games this year, which is great considering the last several years. But I mean, playing 8 minutes a night, I don't know. It's very, very confusing and hard to understand.
Yeah, taking a look at the contract, like a lot of people are pointing to, we're paying him $25 million this year. That $25 million is like a quick bump to be able to justify him to like a really reasonable deal moving forward. And you weren't going to be able to give that money to anyone else, just given the situation of the cap. You're able to give that money to JI because you have his bird rights and you're able to exceed the cap to re-sign your own guys. So $25 million this year, again, that number to me means absolutely nothing because it's money that didn't exist outside of giving it to a guy like Jonathan Isaac. And then over the course of the next few years, it's 15, 14.5, 14.5, and 15. If he is able to get to a point where he can give you 17 to 20 minutes and, better defense than, and again, I keep saying better defense, but every other day I'm seeing these spreadsheet guys tweet these graphs and these lists of Jonathan Isaac being one of the most impactful defenders in the league. A lot of those guys are smarter than me, but I know a lot of those guys are dumber than me because they don't think Paolo Banchero is any good because of some of his metrics. Yeah. So I don't know what to trust when it comes to the Jonathan Isaac stuff. I don't think he's been bad by any means defensively. He's just been a different kind of defender this year. Like low post, sort of hanging by the rim, being more of a rim protector. We're not seeing him as much out on the perimeter, switching on to guys, getting in passing lanes and wreaking havoc, which to me was always Jonathan Isaac's superpower. If we go back to game 82 last year against the Milwaukee Bucks, in that second quarter, he single-handedly flipped the game with that type of defense that we're talking about. So, just really a disappointing year for Jonathan Isaac. I don't know if we're going to get an answer in terms of whose idea was the weight gain. Was that something that J.I. did on his own? Was something that was prescribed by the training staff or by the coaching staff and wanting him to play sort of a different role this year? We saw how things went in last year's playoff series against Jared Allen, against Evan Mobley. Did they want him to bulk up a little bit? I don't think we'll ever really get a direct answer on that, but I'm hoping they go into this offseason and say, hey, you're healthy, work on your shooting, get that weight down a little bit, get a little bit of explosiveness and agility back, and let's kind of run this back next season when we're paying you $15 million a year and kind of see what we have there. I'm not ready at this point to give up on J.I., but yeah, I don't think it's crazy to say that this has been kind of a down year. Now, the plus side is 15.8 minutes per game, the exact same minutes that he played last year. And he's already played 2 more or 3 more games at this point than he did all of last year. But I think last year we were like, hey, we're kind of getting him back full time. We're okay kind of ramping him up. We didn't expect to have to ramp up JI this year. And at this point, it's like, how can you really say it's a ramp up when he was playing, 20, 21 minutes per game earlier in the year? And now, he's getting nights where he plays 12 minutes or he plays 8 minutes like he did in this one against Houston. So I don't really know what to make of it. All I know is that there are going to be big roster decisions made this offseason. Is Jonathan Isaac going to be included in that? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that $15 million is a very tradable contract. That's all I'll say. We'll see. We'll see what happens this summer. But I mean, it's just the hard part is if Jonathan Isaac was by himself in a vacuum on this roster, I might be more patient. When you pair him with a guy like Gary Harris who can't stay healthy, when you pair him with I don't know, just the whole thing, like it feels like we have so many guys.
Guy like Wendell can't stay healthy.
Yes, exactly. Like just when you have many
like
guys, it's
two of
exhausting.
Those guys, you can't have 5 or 6 of them.
It's exhausting, right? And so obviously we're gonna have a ton of time to talk about the offseason here in potentially a month. We'll see when the Magic season ends, but it's got to be something to keep an eye on. That's all.
Do we want to say potentially? Like, I know that you've already started to take a look at like what the play-in dates would be, playoff series. Like, give me an idea of like the Magic are not winning a first round series. It would literally be a miracle because it's either going to be at the hands of Cleveland or it's going to be Boston.
Right.
Give me a rough idea. I know you have those dates of like when these series could start and when, if it goes 4 games, it goes 7 games. What does the end of the season look for us? Well, not that I'm trying to book any vacations ahead of time or anything like that, but just curious.
Right. So if the Magic are the 7 seed, the 7-8 game, again, this is based on past seasons' schedules. So if the NBA decides to do something different this year, that's not on me. That's on them. But I don't
go buying plane tickets based off of Kevin's estimations.
Yeah, I don't foresee anything being changed. But based on the last 3 seasons of schedules, the 7-8 game will be Tuesday, April 15th. Fingers crossed the Magic play in that game and not the 9-10 game, which would be the following day, or the following day, Wednesday, April 16th. So, if the Magic are the 9 or 10 seed, buckle up on Wednesday, April 16th. So if they are in the, let me back up. If they are in the 7-8 game and they lose that game, or if they're in the 9-10 game and they win that game, they will play in the 8th seed game on Friday, April 18th. Before playing the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday, April 20th. Now, for game 1, going back to if the Magic are the 7 seed, if they play in the 7-8 game on Tuesday, April 15th, and they win it, they would play the Celtics. Game 1 would be Saturday, April 19th for game 1 there. A lot of people wondering when would the Magic's home game be? Game 3. Well, the Magic actually have an event on April 25th, Friday, April 25th. I believe it's Mary J. Blige, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Quick question. But that stuff, it's not like completely uncommon for stuff like that to get moved, right?
When there are other dates available, it's pretty rare. So the fact that the game 3 window is the 24th, 25th, and 26th. So I would be very surprised.
Like there was something last year that got moved. I could be remembering.
A Solar Bears game got moved at one point.
Oh, okay.
But that's, they're owned by the
Mary J. Blige, Grammy winner. I don't know that they're going to.
That's what I'm saying. You got 3. It's a 3-day window Mary to play J. Game 3. I don't think they're going to move it. So if the Magic are playing the Celtics, Game 3 would be Thursday, April 24th. If the Magic are playing the Cavs, it would be Saturday, April 26th, according to my calculations. So we'll see about that. But the biggest thing to keep an eye on first, obviously, is the week of the play-in. Fingers crossed that it's the 7-8 game and not the 9-10 game.
So we're looking at like the second technical week of May where people's schedules may potentially likely be opening up a little bit here.
Right. If you remember, Game 7 last year was on Cinco de Mayo. It's the same thing. So it's that first weekend of May, either May 3rd or May 4th would be a Game 7 if it went that long. But outside of that,
the last week of April, start making plans.
Okay.
We're kidding, of course. We're being sarcastic. I would love nothing more than for this Magic team to find a way to beat Cleveland or to beat Boston in a first round playoff series. But if the last 70 games are any indication, probably going to be tough for that to come to fruition.
Yep, it would be. But you never know.
All right.
It's sports. That's why we play the games. We'll see. But let's focus on the last 12 games first.
It's sports. All right, Kev. I think I'm magicked out at this current moment in time. Do you have anything else that you'd like to discuss? I could be convinced.
You know what, Jonathan? We should investigate something. we should see if our friends at Lumen will sever our brains so we can like have a magic brain that takes all the pain of watching the Magic, and we can sever ourselves
in general.
to
It doesn't
real
even
life.
have to be the Magic.
Yeah.
I just need sports in general because I've been dealing with a lot of heartbreak and frustration, the last decade or so.
Yeah, maybe I'll reach out to Mr. Milkshake at Lumen and see if he can give us the old severance treatment. We'll see.
Love that. All right, folks, do not forget Friday. We are going to be over at, I'm pulling up the name of that once again, and I'm stalling as I do that because I've already forgotten it because I'm 30 plus years old, and this is what happens to your brain. My severance stuff with the watch parties. Here we go. The Station Bar and Grub over in Sanford, 109 South Palmetto Avenue. Game time is 7 o'clock. Watch party is going to tip off around 6:30. And then our Court of Dreams experience, March 30th, which is a Sunday, and March 31st, that Monday. March 30th, we're playing on the Kia Center floor at 12 o'clock. And then the next day, we're going to Magic versus Clippers. If you want tickets to that, head over to fivo-enterprise.com/event/6man2. Link will be in the description for the podcast, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description as well. For 60 fans to purchase tickets to that group night, we'll get access to the Court of Dreams. As we're recording this, we have like 17, 18 spots left. Make sure you go and get yours. Gonna be a great time. Looking forward to that. That is going to do it for this one. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!